Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the creators, and take a look at the stories and art. And as you can tell from that introduction, my little friends here and my t-shirt, we're talking about some Star Trek. And we're going to look at this little book right here. This is a Whitman book, which is Gold Key. This was from 1978, published by Whitman, reprinting 2 issues of Gold Key's Star Trek. And this is probably sold in a department store like Walmart, Kmart, something like that. It was originally 69 cents, and it's called a Dinah Bright book. And they had some others. Let me show it here on the back. But the story we're going to look at, see, it has two stories reprinted from 1975 and 76. And the story we're going to look at is called The Evictors. Now, unfortunately, Gold Key didn't have credits, so I don't know who wrote it. But this story was drawn by Al McWilliams. Now, the first story, that's the second story, that's one we're going to look at. But the first story was one that was drawn by the Italian artist Alberto Giolitti, who, the first time I did a Star Trek episode, he drew that story, as well as the more recent Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea one that I did, and did that adaptation of King Kong. And he is best known for as a Star Trek artist and on Turok: Son of Stone primarily. Now, Al McWilliams, I talked about before when I did the Masters of the Universe, because that book we looked at there was drawn by Al McWilliams. But I'll give you a brief recap on Al McWilliams, even though I covered him here. 1916 to 1993, he created the Danny Raven character in Dateline Danger, which was the first Black American lead character in an American comic strip. See here, he was an art assistant on the strip Tim Tyler's Luck. He started doing illustration for pulp magazines in '38. He also worked for Dell Comics, and he worked on Crime Busters and Speed Bolton Air Ace. He did a lot of that stuff, and Stratosphere Gem, and he was in the D-Day invasion in World War II, where he won a Bronze Star. And after the war, he worked on many war titles. I don't know if I've ever knowingly seen any of his war comic stuff. And then, of course, after Alberto Giolitti, he did many issues of Star Trek. He also did for Gold Key, and also did some Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, as well as horror stuff for Warren Publishing. So he was an accomplished artist. One thing I wanted to mention in that Star Trek, when Gold Key first started publishing Star Trek comics, the writers knew very little about Star Trek, and it showed in the comics. Um, but as time passed, the writer or writers uh, learned more about Star Trek, and the stories were more firmly Star Trek like, placed in the Star Trek universe. Uh, Talking about the warp and stuff that they had ignored earlier on. Uh, Started calling the transporter a transporter instead of materialization chamber and stuff like that, and phasers and the like, and even making references to some events from episodes of the series. So later on, they knew more about. One of the neat things about these comics is that they could present stories that would not have been possible, especially at the time, on the TV show. And it one thing that is outstanding in Star Trek is that usually a series based on a TV show only runs through and maybe shortly after the lifetime of the show. But Star Trek took on a life of its own, of course, extending far beyond its original run and gaining new popularity in the early 70s with reruns and then the animated series, so that Gold Key ran Star Trek comics up until the late 80s, the late 70s, until just before the live action, the movie came out, Star Trek the Motion Picture, at which time Marvel acquired the rights for that after that for a while. So, let's go take a look at this Star Trek adventure called The Evictors. Da 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 da. Yeah, here we go. Star Trek. They had a different title design here than usual. Nice cover illustration, which was is reuse from the original issue that this was the story was featured in. And on the back it has an ad for another Star Trek book here. It's getting the same nice cover painting, and there's the one for this book. Star Trek. I don't know who did the cover painting. Nice painting. I presume this painting was done after, or at the very least during, the time that this story was being written, because it reflects the ships, the design of the ships that appear in the story. Most notably these here, as well as this main giant ship. But this general design is a type that I've seen several times with Al McWilliams art. And I've mentioned before that I used to get Al McWilliams and Al Williamson confused a lot. I mean, just their names, not their art, because their art styles are completely different. But their names are close enough that I would often get confused. And of course, Al Williamson was a great EC comic artist, and of course he did lots of other stuff. Also doing a lot of Flash Gordon science fiction stuff and stuff on for Marvel. But I don't think I've ever seen Al McWilliams doing anything for Marvel that I know of. Of course, here's an example of for the first story, the Alberto Giolitti. For some reason, they had a problem with their coloring, they quite frequently made Uhura either white, or in this case she looks Asian. She just, for some reason, they couldn't make her a black woman. I don't know why. Because she was a very, very lovely and accomplished performer, Nichelle Nichols, who I had the distinct pleasure of seeing once on stage in Nonsense 2 many, many years ago. And she was a lovely lady. She still is. She's just getting... Well, here we are. The Evictors. And, of course, splash page. And you get an example of Al McWilliams' art. He had strong resemblance. They will get strong resemblance to the characters. Here they are. And, of course, it always starts with Captain's Log. They're on a protocol mission to the planet Naraka, celebrating its 10,000th year of recorded history. And of course, they're in dress uniforms, which is something that appeared later in the series, so they're able to carry that on really nicely here. And they're just at a dinner party with the inhabitants of this planet, and Spock offers a toast, and this Scotty takes a shine to this lady. Now, all the people here are bald. I mean, on this planet, everyone seems to be bald. So, just to give her a more feminine look, they put a turban on this lady's head, which I think works well for the purpose. Al McWilliams had a tendency to put turbans on ladies quite frequently, and I don't know. Maybe it was because easier than drawing their hair. I don't know. So here they are at a big celebration, and it's got fireworks display and all this stuff going on. And then they had projected out in space this some kind of gas or particulate matter up there as a screen. So they projected the screen, which now we would call it, they would do what we call a hologram, for at least everyone on this hemisphere to view this visual image, rehashing their history. And this legendary hero of their times, Zotar. And it looks like he's wearing Roman-style armor and shield. And how he made the dead rise. There was a cheer, and he wrote the first word, Sonora, which no one knows the meaning of Sonora. And as all this is going on, they get the word that there's something going on with that screen. Something's happening in the display, and the scientists say, "Well, it's this ship, this gigantic ship, has appeared," and they start sending a transmission, and it looks like. The person sending this transmission looks to be Zotar. What the heck? Zotar said. And he says, "Yes, you people do not belong here on this planet. This is our planet." Oh, but he's the second coming of their great savior. Yeah. And everyone is down on their knees. Oh, just wailing away, except for Scotty. He doesn't understand what's going on. And hear me. My people were the Sonora, and we had this planet before you. And then he describes how they had a vast civilization, and then they learned that their planet was going to be destroyed, some kind of natural disaster thing, and they built this giant ship, and as much of their population as could left, and then this event happened, and their civilization was destroyed, and well, at least they thought everyone who was left behind was killed. So now we've come back and we wish to reclaim our planet. So you must leave. And they show their power. There are the ruins of the city, and they use their power as a demonstration to destroy it, destroy the ruins themselves. And then they ask Captain Kirk for help, and they conclude that it's not real. There must be some kind of space pirates trying to take over the planet. because this is what they presume, and that whatever it was, some people had survived, probably underground, and they evolved and changed a little bit until they became these beings, very humanoid beings that now inhabit the planet, and they have developed their own civilization and the like, based on the remnants of the old one. That's a really, really nice face and nice use of lighting effects. Same thing on Spock. And then the double page spread. Nice double page spread, which would have been in the center of the book like this. It's part 2 because they always broke them up into 2 parts. Now here you see this type of ship is very common for Al McWilliams art. He did a really nice job, I think, on here. And this is that invading ship, which is gigantic. So they are fighting back, even though they're basically being wiped out, being destroyed. And Kirk is informed that if he helps these people, his ship will be destroyed as well, because he knows they're aliens. This is another real good Kirk face, good lighting, nicely done. Same thing on this in here too, but this in here looks like it was probably done directly from a photo with that kind of lighting done, because they had a lot of episodes or a lot of appearances with Kirk and other figures with that kind of lighting. So, meanwhile, Scotty is with this lady out in the crowds, and now riots are breaking out, and they just know that Scotty is a foreigner, and they want to kill him. So they kill the foreigner. So they're on the run. Nice depiction of the city and the backgrounds here. Really, really nice. And then Scotty's desperate, and he uses this. It's a real shame. This lovely sculpture here as a weapon against the people who are chasing him. You can see it's a really nice nude female figure. And the lady who's with him is just panicking. So they keep running and they keep running. Meanwhile, Kirk and Spock are conferring with the rulers. And he orders. There's real good depiction of Sulu right there, and Uhura, real good. Except that the coloring has her just a little too light. And the paper. This is a real better quality paper than the comics were originally published on. It was probably used the exact same coloring from the original book, and. Meanwhile, they attack the Enterprise, and Enterprise fights back. And all these aliens, all these people are fighting. Scotty is trying to survive in the riots on the planet because they think it's true. Another really good shot of Sulu on this one, and good depictions of the Enterprise. Real fine draftsmanship on doing that, and I tell you from experience, drawing the Enterprise is difficult. So it's done really well. So they're still fighting against that ship, that giant ship, and the Enterprise is helping, and finally, it is defeated, and Scotty is still fighting for his life, but during the conflict, the president or ruler of the planet comes out and declares that they have been defeated. The planet is still ours. And here we see that Spock has done a little investigating on his own. Scotty's saying goodbye to the lovely lady, and Kirk and Spock, they're getting ready to beam back to the Enterprise. And Spock had gone to the ruins of the city, which had been destroyed in the crater. He found this artifact. It looks like a sculpture of Zotar, but it says no. It says, an ancient statue of Zotar? I'd say not, Captain. Should just say radiometric tests indicate it is far older than the present inhabitants. You mean the story of the evacuation was true, those people were not pirates? Says, it would seem so, Captain. And so they are doomed to continue wandering space, a world without a planet to live on. Was there a choice, Mr. Spock? Could we have found a better way out? I suppose we'll never know. So those invaders did have the Evictors did have a claim on the planet, but I would say a claim that they lost when they left it. Because these people are the inhabitants. They've been there for thousands and thousands of years. They developed on this planet, and these Evictors were their ancestors. So it's a really nice. This is the type of story they probably could never have done on the show, and some really nice artwork. I think it was a well-crafted story. I like the flashbacks to showing what's going on. Al McWilliams had some. There's a really good Spock face right there. He did a good depiction of the characters, the great version of the Enterprise, and it was a good, fast-paced, fairly well-configured, even though it's far from my favorite. It's a well-constructed story. I loved his depiction of this lady. It's a good looking Scotty, Spock. All the characters are almost spot on, and the resemblance is probably better than most of Alberto Giolitti's. Although Giolitti was a vastly far superior draftsman in my opinion. But that was a fun little story, fun little romp, and great bit of Star Trek history. So thank you for joining me. I hope you liked it. If you're a Star Trek fan, share it with other Star Trek fans and friends. And we'll see you next time. Remember, comics and Star Trek are